So a little trick for you when you're taking your tank off. There's a lot of things under here that need to be disconnected. You need to leave this standing up. So I'm going to try and do something. It may not hold because you might have no rubbers on the front, which I don't think this tank has. So first things first, you need to disconnect the fuel sender, then the pipe, if you can get it off. Now this one has actually got screws and really good fuel line screws on them. So the clips, the clips themselves, they're everywhere. I don't know if you can actually see this one, but just underneath there I've got a nice little clip to take off, or two, so bear with me. And final one. I don't know if you can see this, but for what it is, it's not the hardest piece to do. But we've got, from the petcock, is the vacuum. So the vacuum obviously pushes air into the small diaphragm in the petcock, and then what it does, the diaphragm actually, when the air goes into the tank or the exhaust, it pushes and creates vacuum, which then pumps to this, which then again goes back to another vacuum, and then that sends it straight down into the carburetor. So I'm going to try and get this one off here. So this now looks completely free. This one here is just an exit for any overflow in case a bike turns over, and then that kicks out a lot more in there, or if you overfill your tank. So we'll now take this off and see what else is underneath. Now it looks like there's quite a lot of mods that have been done on this. There's a lot of things missing, but there's also a lot of good mods that really do, you know, increase the performance of the bike. So first things first, let's have a look at this. Someone's drilled out the airbox. I should say the air filter. Not really happy about that. There's no rubbers at all. That's why the petrol tank looked like it was going to fall off. So they need replacing, which we'll get brand new ones for. Down here, it's not that much of a mess. It's quite tidy, but they're just really big pieces of fuel pipe. Again, to increase performance. Someone thinks obviously the bike can do over 100 miles an hour. It's not going to happen. New battery was put in yesterday. CDI looks absolutely fine. Relays are working okay, except for obviously the front indicator, so that just clicks. Now, had a problem with it yesterday when I had it in starting mode, obviously, or on. It's not been coming on. Sometimes you have to give it a jiggle, and then the neutral light occasionally shows itself when it wants. So that's something else that's going to have to be done. Now it's showing 329 miles on this. Someone bought new clocks for it, and it only had 4,000 miles on it its last MOT, so I don't understand why they've done that. But we'll have to see what we can do to rectify that. Again, I didn't show you this before, but we are going to need a new pull locking ignition system, and we'll probably get new locks for the whole bike. I've got one key for it at this minute in time, so not great, but again, it still switches on and it still works, so for this minute in time that will be something for later on. This is the setup of how it should be from more or less factory. We're going to try and take the headlight unit out. We have to take the clocks off for that, and we'll take the rest of these fairings off as well. So the fairings, now we've got access, you can see the rest of the retaining bolts and screws. So one there, another one on the opposite side, and there is a couple of occasional bolts here and there as well, so I'll talk you through those as we go along, but really this piece should be off very quickly. We'll take this off, a couple of the very small locating bolts there that actually click to the actual front fairing, and we'll go from there. So we're going to try and take off the whole fairing now. This is the bolt that we're going to be taking out. I should say the long screw bolt. There are a few more just down the back of there as well. You may not be able to see them at this minute in time, but just at the back of there, it's getting quite dark. That one there, so this one needs to be taken out too, and also the indicator. So if you look just down the bottom of there, you probably can't see it too well, but just there is a retaining bolt, this one, that's for the indicator, so that needs to come off too. Once again, first things first, a bit of WD-40. These parts, again, like I said to you before, do get well rusted on, so I always try and keep them lubricated at first. Back with the old IKEA drill. The reason why I use these, and I'll probably get laughed at, but they last forever on one charge. You've also got the fact of they are quite good. They're not too torquey, so you're not going to start ripping bolts out and threading them. And they have a tolerance, so it clicks and stops when you reach that tolerance. So if it's too hard screwed in there, then it's not going to strip it out. So let's have a try. Pretty much easy and simple as that. And for the other side. So that little click that you just heard then, that was the drill itself saying it was too impacted. Give it a couple of blasts and it should just straight come out. Now I have forgotten to undo on the opposite side, unfortunately, the other bolts for the mirrors, so I'll get them done too. Now I've just taken off the other mirror holders. Now this is going to be for the indicators to come off. Now for this I'm going to be using, this should be factory standard, this one is a 10mm, so 10mm should do for you, and we're going to focus on the area that's just down here where the cables are. So if you can see just there, there's a little nut bolt in there, so we're going to have to move this fork around a little bit just so we can get the clearance and hopefully get in there. So there we go, and that one should just pull out anyway. That should be fine. And inside here You also have 2 wires that you will need to disconnect before you start to take anything off, because otherwise it'll rip the wires to pieces and you'll have to start soldering. So just remove them. And that's the old indicator taken out. It's been pretty much ragged off there, so that's going to get fully replaced with a nice set, not a factory standard set, because I don't like how big and dopey they are, so I'm going to get a nice small set to go with them. Now for the other side, again down with the 10mm on the other side for the other indicator. Unplug the electrics and it should just pop out. Complete. Now this part is probably the worst part of the fiddly bits. So under here we have got basically 2 screws, and also on either side near the cowling duct here. I don't know if you can see them. Yeah, they should just be there now. So those 2. There's also a middle one for the headlight, and there's another 2 on the opposite side, so we're going to whip them out too. This should then release the whole of the top fairings. So that's 2. And these are the final 2. And that should be it. So this should be it coming off. Now what I had done is left 2 of the big retaining bolts at the top, one around here and one around here. They're very fiddly to get to, but I left them there so it wouldn't just drop off. I've just undone one of them, so I'm just going to pop this off. So that's one complete one done. And now you can probably see the workings of where they would go. So this was the top one here, the big one that we took out, and then there was the lower one, which is here. That's the one I left until very last. I've still got the other side to do, but that's it. So you've got 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, 4 points and 5 points. So you've got quite a few to get the front off. Next challenge is going to be taking off this headlight. It's not much of a challenge, but it'll still be worth it. So just, again, this is what I've done because I wanted to keep this on rather than it just falling off, is the one that's just down there, that one. We're going to try and take that one off as well, but there's a wiring loom in the way of this now, so just going to shift that to one side, move the handlebars a little bit, give it a bit of space, and we'll try and get that drill in there, okay? It's not that easy to do. So I'm going to try and take this wiring loom out of the way. Just move these gently off. There's lots of space there for everything else. Okay, this one's a bit more solid. Okay, so this one's pretty badly put in. I think it's rusted in. I have given it a little bit of WD-40, but I'm putting an extension just onto the end of this, just so it can twist a bit easier, gives it a bit more torque if it's a bit longer, and you also got a lot of room in there too, so let's get in there. There we go. Perfect. Now, the whole piece should just drop off, as so. Just take the bolt off, push out, complete again. So that's how you take off all the plastics on the front. I'm going to get this headlight off now. It's around about 5 or 6 bolts, so we're going to take these ones off here. There is 4 altogether, 2 each side, and see if that then pops that straight out. If it doesn't, I think there may be a couple of retaining bolts as well, which is probably going to be this screw up top here. That will probably let the actual housing come off, and the rest of it is for the clocks, so we're not really going to try and touch them as much, but I'm going to try and tidy up the wiring loom, and also, you know, tape everything up that should be taped up, and grease everything that should be greased, just to keep any moisture out of the system. So these ones are a 10 milli. I don't know if you can see it, but that's a 10 milli, and there's only 4 of them, so let's crack on and get it done. So, from undoing them, we are going to need to take the clocks off as well, because it all looks like it comes in one piece. I've actually never done a headlight before, so this is my first time. But the other parts, like the clocks, I've done before easily. I've just never taken the headlight off, so let's see how it goes. I know that for a fact they have probably 3 screws holding all this together, so there's one there, and there's going to be one either side of the clocks as well, so just get on with those ones. Following 2 are just here and here, so basically it's each side of the speedo, so we're going to try and take the ones out very easily if we can. So that's it now, completely out. As you can see, you've got a lot of wires. So what we're just going to do with these, because I've got a new headlight coming, just unplug them and push down, pull, and that's it, complete, all out. Now I may use this for parts later on, because they've got two good bulbs in there. The bulbs can be quite expensive, so the actual fitments and everything else I will be taking out of them later. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace all of the bolts that have come out of this, and I'm going to put them all back, for the reason of sometimes you get a little bit mixed up with too many bolts and where they live, sizes and everything else. So it's just basically maintaining good work ethic really, because if you do lose a couple of them, they can be a pain to replace. So I'm going to replace all of these now. And by the way, this is how many bolts just for the fairings. So it's hard to remember where they all go sometimes, so that's the reason why we put them all back. Then what I do is I normally tend to give them a little bit of a coating, so just in case there is any rust, or if there's any rainfall at night, it doesn't get them too rusty. Keeps them in good condition and reusable again, cleans out any dirt. Now I just thought I would take off all the rest of the panels. So the rear panels are the last ones to be coming off. You're going to need to use again one of these to take off most of the other panels. Again, they might be spurious hex head bolts, so just be very, very careful when you take them out. You don't want to try to use too much force on them, but I will be using this and I will be using this again, so let's get it going. So this one's stuck a little bit more, so we're going to try now and see. So these rear panels also start to get a little bit rusty. You do tend to get that quite a lot with these. Again, all I would say to do with it is just give it a nice coat of WD-40 before you start, which I have not done. Now these ones have hidden ones under here. There is one, two, there should be another one there, and there's another one at the back, and I think that would leave us free. So now that should release all the panels, but we've got this to take care of first. We have the lock that we're going to try to remove. It's pretty easy to do, but it's just knowing how to do it. It uses a little bit of, obviously, a bit of force, but we're going to pull the panel off and I'll show you how to do it. So all the screws are out of the panel. This should pop off as such, and this one I've left in to retain just so I've got a little bit of room to mess about. I'm now going to remove it. Oops. So these are a little hard to undo when you're taking them off for the first time, because again, the bolts have probably been there for a long time and they may need, again, a good coat of WD-40, so that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go coating down and try to remove it all, and then we can take the panel away and then go from there. Now, the WD-40, chuck a bit here, chuck a bit there, a little bit down on the bottom. There is an easy way to remove this, but to be fair, I like to take it all off in one go. It's a bit easier than to manhandle it. So that's your complete panel. So the other side panel, all the bolts are off except for this one. Pop straight off. Now we're going to have a look at doing the rear light, because, well, not the light, sorry, the tail, because under here is cut out, whoever's had it before has cut out the number plate light, so we're going to need to take that off. Probably going to take off the rear light as well. Pretty easy job to do, not hard at all, so here we go. So for this one, we're going to need a 10mm socket. Now I don't know about you guys, but it's probably the most commonly lost piece of my collection. I always have two of them just to make sure. But these are going to take out these retaining bolts again. One here, and that's on both sides. And then we're also going to disconnect the wiring loom before we take out the lamp. Now remember to put these ones back once you've taken them out. Keep them all in the top there, or should I say the trunk. Remember, keep the washers as well, because those are anti-vibration. and it keeps them in place. So just remember where they all go. They've all got colour codes on them, not hard to find, and the person who's obviously, like I say, disconnected or taken off the rear number plate light, that's the one for the rear number plate light, the black and the orange. I should say black, white and orange. These ones are for the indicators, which are going to get replaced anyway, and this one is the main lamp. Push down, pull, and it's off. Completely done. Nothing else to take off except for the rear lamp. Always remember to put the retaining bolts back, like I said. So that was today's breakdown of the bike, taking all the panels off, the headlight and everything else that goes with it, all the tail lights and everything else, and my new box of goodies has just arrived as well. So we've got this to fit, a new one of these to fit, and a couple of the bits that were missing anyway. So we've had so far, this was missing, if you know what it is. Correct answers on a postcard, and a couple of the rear pegs really. So both sides of the rear pegs, because none of them had the actual rubbers on them at all, so you could put your feet on them. Obviously when you do carry a pillion passenger, it's really safe to actually have them down, because obviously they've got nowhere else to put the feet. Also, to follow on in the next couple of days time, these little bits, they're going to be done too. And tomorrow we're going to be whipping the engine out, taking all the ancillaries off. So we're going to be taking off the carburetors, looking at the state of the actual inlet manifolds, which I've already ordered anyway. And then we're going to clean the carburetors up in a couple of days time too. Clean down the rest of the frame, paint it down, and basically get it ready for all the new panels that will be coming. After that, then the panels will be basically taken off from each other, and then they will be separately sanded down, and we'll be repainting them as well. So keep on watching, guys. Like and subscribe, and just let us know if you've got any kind of thoughts or anything else on the way I should be doing things. Leave us a couple of comments. It always helps out. All right, cheers guys.